Headshot him. Headshot him. Got you covered. There's another kill. Behind you. Got him with the headshot. Pinged his armor off. Yo, it's TheGIBBYNATR. After playing Blackout for a solid week, I've managed to rack up 35 wins, but it wasn't always like that. The first day of playing Blackout, I actually got 0 wins. So I went back, analysed my first initial gameplays, and then compared them to more recent gameplays, and I noticed one key major difference, and that difference was that I'm using snipers way more often. If I saw a sniper in the first day of playing, I would not pick it up. I was rocking like 2 assault rifles, and if I saw a sniper, I would never pick it up. I think the main reason that I did that was the fear of only having one shot. Because snipers are bolt action, if you miss that one shot, you're kind of screwed. That was the mentality I had to start, but I quickly changed that up, and now I absolutely love snipers, and I think they are the best guns in the game. But they're only the best guns in the game if you know how to use them. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you the best tips and tricks on how to use snipers correctly. So if you do enjoy this video, be sure to smash a like on it, and if you want to see more Blackout and multiplayer tips and tricks videos, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're going to start off with a very basic tip, and this is to pick up any scopes that you see. When you first pick up a sniper, it's going to have no scope on it, and you're just going to have the iron sights. And this was one of the initial things that turned me off them, because the iron sights are so ugly. They're really clunky and very hard to like see enemies. So I just thought they'd be bad, but you can actually equip 2 times, 3 times, and then sniper scopes onto the weapon. You can also equip 4 times scopes as well. I forgot to mention that. But yeah, all of those scopes are really good because they're going to allow you to actually have a better visual of the enemy, allowing you to have better accuracy and lining up your shots better. And they also have markers on them which allow you to lead your shots better and to compensate for bullet drop. I'll get more into what those are later on in the video, but initially just make sure you have a scope on your weapon. It's going to help you out in the long run. It's going to allow you to get those longer shots off, and it's just going to make your experience using a sniper a lot nicer and easier. The second tip is another very basic one, and this is something that you want to focus on when you're looting right at the start of the game. You want to pick up as many iron lungs as you possibly can, and when you're also looting dead bodies, you want to pick up iron lungs. So iron lungs is a consumable perk that actually allows you to hold your breath for longer. This is great because the snipers in Blackout have a lot of idle sway, which is essentially your character's a living person and they're breathing, they're doing little movements, and that causes the scope of the weapon to sway a little bit. So when you actually hold your breath, you reduce that sway because you're no longer breathing, and it allows you to be more accurate. So being able to hold your breath for longer is a definite advantage, and this is going to help you out so much when trying to line up those very long distance shots, because when you have idle sway, it may not be that much of an issue when you're shooting someone at a close range if you're quick scoping them, but when they're across the other side of the map, like 200, 300 meters away, that little sway is literally going to be a huge distance when it comes to the enemy. Like you're going to be aiming on them at 1 minute and then aiming tens of meters away from them the next minute. So obviously that isn't great when you're trying to line up shots and pick people off. So iron lungs, definitely something to look out for, and I would save them up for roughly the last 10 people, purely because you're under a lot more pressure to actually hit your shots when you're in the last 10 people. So having that extra accuracy will really help you out, and it won't stress you out, because I know I tend to take a lot of shots, just rush them when I don't have iron lungs on, and especially in that top 10, you don't want to be getting stressed out having to hold your breath and then wait for your character to regain the ability to hold his breath. So just put iron lungs on and it will really help you out. A great bonus tip to reduce idle sway when you don't have iron lungs is to go prone. When you're lying down, you have way less idle sway and you can do it pretty much all the time. So just make sure you're in a suitable position where your prone won't get blocked, allowing you to have a good vision of the map, and you'll be sorted idle sway wise. So now that you've got your sniper with the perfect scope on it and you've got your your iron lungs ready. The next tip is going to help you out when you're in that close quarters situation when you're looting at the start of the game. So I've mentioned about centering in a lot of my videos, and this is where it really comes in vital in your Call of Duty gameplay. So what centering is where you line the crosshairs that are on your screen. It's those 4 little dashes that you see when you're not aiming down your scope. I want you to line those up perfectly with the enemy before you aim down your scope. What this is going to do is it's going to mean that you don't have to drag your scope over to an enemy once you've ADS, so it minimizes your time having to actually line up your shot. And once you can do this, you can quick scope kids like it's nothing. I absolutely love this technique in multiplayer, and it's definitely transferable over into this game mode. I wouldn't recommend you just go out and try and quick scope everyone in Blackout, just because if someone's got body armor on and they've got a trauma kit, if you hit them in the body, it really doesn't mean that much. You're always going to have to switch to your other gun. Like, you're always going to have to follow your shots up. Basically, you're going to get hit markers a lot, so it's not the preferred thing to do. You want to be aiming for the head in Blackout, so you want to be taking your time more with shots. But that doesn't mean if you're a really skilled sniper that you can't aim for quick scope headshots. There's definitely people with enough skill to be able to do that, so if you're one of those people, you're very lucky and go for it. But yeah, basically just focus on getting the enemies in the center of your screen before you aim down your sights. It's going to help you out a lot instead of aiming in straight away and then dragging over to the person. It's literally just going to decrease the amount of time that you're actually spent there aiming. So it's going to make you more likely to kill the person before they kill you. But yeah, that's tip number 3. Moving on to tip number 4, we're going to start talking about some more complicated aspects of the mechanics of sniping in Blackout. So we're going to talk about leading your shots. So in previous Call of Duties, if you've ever sniped before, where you aim, and if you actually aim onto an enemy and your scope is perfectly on that enemy and you shoot, you're always going to get that kill unless you hit them in the foot or in the arm, and in which case you're going to get a hit marker, but you're always going to hit the enemy. In Blackout, this isn't the case. You actually have to lead your shots on running targets, meaning that if someone's running and you aim perfectly on them and then you shoot when you aim perfectly on them, they're going to carry on running, so they're going to miss your bullet and your bullet's going to be behind them. So you actually have to lead your shots and aim in front of them so that they actually run into your bullet. Now, a lot of Call of Duty players don't like this, but you've got to see it from the aspect of if you were playing in Blackout and you were kind of like just in the game and all of a sudden someone just quick scopes you across the map, that would be really annoying, just dying in one hit to this person that doesn't really have much skill. They've just lined you up in their sniper scope and then shot one bullet. Having to actually lead the shots makes you way more likely to survive, and it just makes having a sniper a much more skilled thing to do, meaning that a smaller amount of people can use them, so you're actually going to die to snipers less, because if they didn't do this, it would literally just be a sniper fest and every single one of your deaths would be to snipers. Whenever you see someone moving or running and you're trying to snipe them, just always keep it in your mind that you have to lead your bullet so they run into it. Especially if they're really far away, you're going to have to lead your shots even more, because they're going to be covering a larger distance than you actually think they are just because they're so far away. But yeah, just remember to lead those shots. Honestly, I can't give you any like hard numbers now. Like when they're at 100 meters and they're sprinting, you have to aim a centimeter in front of them. I can't do that right now because I haven't played the game enough and I haven't figured that out yet. But as soon as I figure out those numbers, I can give you a perfect tutorial on how to snipe like an absolute god. I will do that. It may take me a month or two, but definitely be on the lookout for it. But at the minute, you've just got to practice and get a feel for it at yourself. Just don't be scared to take shots and just figure out gradually how far you have to actually shoot in front of people for you to actually hit them. Eventually you'll get to the point where you see an enemy, you'll be able to judge what speed they're moving at, and then you can lead your shot to the degree that matches the speed they're moving at. Another mechanic that's new to Call of Duty that they've added into Blackout to make it a bit more balanced is bullet drop. Now this prevents people with SMGs being able to shoot people across the map and people with assault rifles being able to shoot people across the map. It also does mean that with the snipers you have to aim higher than you normally would. So this is something to be very conscious about when you're shooting someone at a very long range. I'm talking like 200 meters away, 400 meters away, within that range and just like further. you always have to think about bullet drop. So what bullet drop is essentially the vertical distance that a bullet falls from the line of like departure of the bullet from the barrel of the gun. So basically gravity acts on the bullet, pulling it towards the ground so it doesn't just go in a horizontal line forever like it does in previous Call of Duties. You actually have to configure your aim above the enemy when they're at long ranges to compensate for that bullet drop. But basically this tip is just think about how far they are, and if they are far, aim a little bit above their head. There is some gameplay in the background of me compensating for the bullet drop, and it isn't that much higher. It's not like kind of games like Fortnite where you have to aim miles above them when you're doing long shots, but in this game it's literally just a tiny little bit, and it is only at those really long range shots. The bullet drop is nowhere near as noticeable as like the lead times. You have to focus on leading your shots way more than you have to focus on bullet drop. So if you're going to pick between focus on one of them, definitely focus on getting good at leading shots rather than compensating for bullet drop, because compensating for bullet drop will just come naturally when you just like are taking shots and you figure out when you're getting headshots and when you're not, and so on. The sixth tip is to always strafe side to side when you're in your nice scouting position and you're taking some snipes, you're aiming at people. It's just always move side to side, because you never know when there's someone aiming at you, just looking at you, waiting to take that shot. So if you're moving constantly, strafing left and right, forwards and backwards, you're going to be such a hard target to hit, especially if you do it unpredictably. So if you go left and then you go forwards and then you go right and then you go back, you do that and you just mess up the enemy's aim completely. They're never going to be able to predict where you're going to go next, and if they do predict it, that's just random chance. It's nothing to do with their skill. So yeah, just keep doing that, moving random directions, and you're literally just going to never die to other snipers, which is great because that will enable you to figure out where you've just been shot from and then hopefully take the shot off on them and get yourself closer to that victory. The seventh tip is kind of a counter to the sixth tip. So when you're aiming at an enemy and you can see them perfectly, but you know for sure that they can't see you, if they're, you know they've got like an assault rifle or something and there's just no chance that they can see you, what I want you to do is just wait for them to stop moving. If you can see them constantly moving using a similar tip to what I just said, just wait till they either like go into their inventory to like activate a consumable. Just like wait till they're stood still, because when they're standing still, there's no chance that you're missing. But if they're just constantly moving, you're going to take your shot and most likely going to miss, and that's just going to give your position away to that person and they're going to be able to kill you easily. So it's just being smart, waiting for them to be an easy target and then taking them out. The final and eighth tip is aimed at people that do have a higher skill level than the average person, but you can easily achieve this kind of play style if you are an average person. You've just got to grind out the game, practice it, and you'll eventually become good enough to do this. But it's actually just going for headshots whenever you can. So it's just always consciously thinking about aiming for those headshots, because a lot of people complain about the snipers in Blackout always getting hit markers and never being able to kill people, and that's just because you're hitting them in the chest, you're hitting them in the arms, you're hitting them in the legs, and because people have body armor most of the time, you're not going to be doing much damage to them. But body armor only covers the body, it leaves their head unprotected. Only, I mean, if they do have level 3 armor, it will mean that their head is protected, but that's like the rarest armor in the game. So in most cases, people's heads are going to be uncovered, just waiting for you to snipe them. So aiming for people's heads in this game, it really isn't too hard once you just figure it out and just like get used to doing it. So just practice it non-stop, just aiming a little bit higher than you normally would, and eventually you'll be able to get to the point where you can just hit headshots so consistently, shot after shot. And headshots are so good because there's a headshot multiplier, basically meaning that headshots do way more damage than body shots. So you can easily get those one-hit kills and just take people out left, right and center. It's also a great thing to do when you see someone down on the floor. Don't shoot them in the body, shoot them in the head and you'll take them out instantly. Before I wrap up the video, I want to give you one last bonus tip, and that is to not be scared to take shots. It doesn't matter if you miss, because with every miss, you're fine-tuning your accuracy to make it so that in the future you don't miss your shots. So just don't be worried, take those shots, because it's the only way you're going to improve. I see too many snipers that just aim on people and they are literally just sat there for ages and they're so indecisive, they're not taking any shots at all. and they miss so many opportunities to shoot, and then they just end up not even shooting at all. So just don't be that person, shoot them, and just eventually you'll get more confident and your skill will improve and you'll be able to rely on yourself to hit those shots more. But yo, that is it for this video, lads. If you did find it helpful, be sure to smash a like on it, subscribe to the channel for more content exactly like this, and I want you to comment down below what your favorite sniper is. Is it the COSHAIRS or is it the Paladin? Mine is by far the Paladin, just because of how much damage it does, but the COSHAIRS is very nice when you're going for those multi-kills. So yeah, I like them both. But yo, I'll see you in the next video, boys. Take care. Peace.